Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching the evening news on my Media Prime. You're welcome to the Thursday edition of the news live from Studio A. My name is Gienda Peldrin Blanche King, Head of State. President Paul Biya has granted audience to the special envoy of the Nigerian President. Ambassador Joseph Keshi was received today at the Unity Palace. Speaking to reporters after the meeting, Ambassador Joseph Keshi said Nigeria is soliciting support from Cameroon in the African Union Commission elections to take place on February 6, 2021 in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, where Nigeria is vying for the position of Commissioner for Political Affairs, Peace and Security. He equally seized the opportunity to review bilateral ties that exist between Nigeria and Cameroon. Away from that, a young man is currently under police custody and investigations opened after a failed attempt to burn down the ICT unit at the University of Chang. According to the guard on service, the young man succeeded to set fire on an administrative block that keeps a record of examination scripts and other administrative documents. He was heading to the Information and Communication Technology unit before he was caught. It is still not clear why he acted as such, though investigations have been opened to get to the roots of the matter. And in the following report, Gladys Bomotongina revisits a situation in Lycée Bambi Bacham where close to 30 students are said to be falling into a trance, a situation administrators cannot explain. Authorities have, however, successfully calmed the parents involved, though investigations have been opened and the students have been taken for proper medical attention. Her report in the French language.
Il s'agit là de l'image d'une des victimes parmi la trentaine de celles tombées sous la crise critique de multiplicité de trans observée chez les élèves et même de certains responsables éducatifs dans le lycée de Bambi Bacham à l'ouest de Cameroun. Une situation de stupeur ayant conduit certains parents d'élèves à bloquer l'entrée de l'établissement lundi dernier, question de réclamer la paix pour leurs enfants. Ce qui a conduit le sous-préfet de cette localité à se rendre sur les lieux et avoir une réunion avec certains responsables.
Le 1er février 2021, à 7h30 déjà, j'ai été informé par certaines personnes que le lycée de Bambi était fermé de l'extérieur, c'est-à-dire qu'il y avait une barricade. Quand je suis arrivé sur place, j'ai immédiatement demandé aux chefs traditionnels qui étaient là, avec leurs notables, ainsi que les parents d'élèves, tous à l'extérieur du lycée, d'enlever ce fagot de bambou, ces arbres de paix, de m'ouvrir le portail. Nous sommes donc entrés dans le lycée, nous avons tenu une réunion dans la salle des professeurs.
Au sortir de là, le sous-préfet et le responsable de l'association des parents d'élèves leur ont demandé de se rendre à l'hôpital pour diagnostic réel et non de croire qu'il s'agit d'une situation mystique et de faire recours au pasteur pour une soi-disant délivrance de leurs enfants.
On s'est dit que le mieux était de sensibiliser les élèves pour leur dire que si quelqu'un tombe malade, il faut qu'il soit conduit à l'hôpital pour qu'on détecte son mal.
D'éviter d'envoyer les enfants chez les prophètes quand ils tombent en transe, les envoyer à l'hôpital pour avoir, n'est-ce pas, un examen diagnostic approprié.
En effet, certains parents n'ont pas cherché à avoir un rapport médical au regard de l'état de leurs enfants.
On m'a dit que l'enfant est tombé. Elle est à l'église. Elle tape les gens. Puis là, j'ai pris la moto. Je suis allée là-bas. J'ai vu comment l'enfant tombait, criait, dit que professeur, ne me laisse point. Tu vas me tuer pourquoi? Il criait, tombait, borsait les gens. On a seulement fait la prière. Il n'a pas le palu.
Une situation bien étrange, mais pas nouvellement observée dans nos établissements scolaires.
Cameroonians mourn the death of Owona Nobe, one-time striker and captain of the Indomitable Lions of Cameroon. He is said to have died yesterday in his sleep. Let's now get his life and death in the following report compiled by Dolly Ngonde.
Here lies the mortal remains of former striker and captain of the Indomitable Lions of Cameroon, Owona Nobe. Same day, the Intermediate Lions of Cameroon are told of the ongoing Total African Nations Championship, also marks the day of Owona's exit from this world. Going by track record, Owona's miserable fate began unfolding shortly after his home was demolished years back, alongside many others, for prohibiting state-restricted orders around the village neighborhood in Douala. The one-time renowned player of the Union Sportive Football Club, since his retirement from the national team, saw his life ending in shame rather than honor, as sympathizers now mourn him. It is disheartening to see a former striker for the national team who defended the national colors suffer and die like an outcast or a nobody on the street. Government has failed to honor him. It is heart-piercing. The government has neglected our brother. He was one of the top strikers in 1972 who played both the World and African Nations Cup and had kept a tremendous record. He served the nation, yet treated like a piece of shit. Upon dealing with the shock of a demolished home, Owona resorted to street refuging around the New Bell neighborhood here in Douala, spending the nights on the verandas of some shops where he was met with this sad fate. The father of 5 later on contracted a strange health crisis which earned him the support of his sister, the soliciting voice of the media, Samuel Etofils, and other persons of goodwill, which greatly sponsored his treatment at the New Bell Hospital. However, even after all the aid he received, anonymous sources disclosed further that his miserable fate toppled up as his living condition barely changed despite numerous letters of appeal being forwarded to the government. Unlike the story of a hero who dies in shame, Owona Nobe was found dead yesterday morning in the open at 70.
4 students at the government bilingual high school Crise in the south region of Cameroon have been accused of practicing witchcraft on campus. The students were arrested recently after being accused of moving around the school campus with a magical wallet, trying to initiate other students. According to sources, the students confessed after interrogation that they were in contact with mystical Beninese who promised them wealth in exchange for the lives of some of their relatives, amongst other conditions. Investigations have been opened to trace the origin of the mystical wallet. Stay tuned to My Media Prime. Will bring you updates or developments of this story. Meantime, we'll move over to the southwest region of the country. The Southwest Regional Delegate of Environment and Nature Protection observed the International Wetlands Day in Boya. Although this year was void of celebrations, the delegation, alongside some environmental science students from the University of Boya, embarked on a sensitization campaign to educate the population on the importance of preserving wetlands. Details with Crise.
Wetlands are part of land defined by the presence of water which can be seasonal or permanent. In the southwest region, there are several wetlands located in Wondongo, a village found in Boya town in the southwest region. This water catchment has been a source of fresh water for inhabitants of Boya town and other neighboring villages for years now. However, the population is ignorant on the importance of preserving such sites. Thus, this trip by the Southwest Regional Delegation of Environment and Nature Protection, alongside these students from the Department of Environmental Sciences of the University of Boya to this water catchment site, was to sensitize the population on the importance of preserving such sites and to stop their loss
around the communities and have a one-on-one exchange with the Boya people, informing them about the wetlands, educating them on its uniqueness, what they can do to protect and preserve it. We are now at the water catchment area as we want to raise awareness on its uniqueness
Although this year's International Wetland Day is christened Wetlands and Sustainable Water Supply, the Southwest Regional Delegate of Environment and Nature Protection highlights some touristic and agricultural benefits that wetlands can offer if they are well preserved.
So this year is to lay emphasis on wetland as the source of water. But for us, wetland is not only the source of water, it's the source of biodiversity. That means we have some.
Eileen Sama has African updates in the following report.
Ex-Ugandan rebel commander Dominic Ongwen has been convicted of war crimes at the International Criminal Court, the ICC. Dominic Ongwen, a feared commander of the Lord's Resistance Army LRA, is the first member of the LRA to appear before the court. He was convicted on 61 of the 70 counts of crimes against humanity and war crimes he faced. The charges relate to attacks on 4 camps for internally displaced people in Uganda in 2004. More than 4,000 victims are said to have provided testimony in the ICC case. Ongwen's sentence is to be handed down at a later date and he could face life imprisonment. He said he was abducted by the LRA and forced to be a child soldier before going on to rise up the ranks to become the deputy to LRA commander Joseph Kony. The trial of a group in Algeria accused of decapitating a French mountain guide, which was due to start on Thursday in Algiers, has been pushed back to February 18. Local jihadists linked to the Islamic State group kidnapped and killed Hervé Godel in 2014 while exploring a new climbing site in the Jodjura Mountains. A total of 14 people are facing trial, with one suspect, Abdel Malek Hamzawi, facing a possible death penalty if found guilty of the murder. 13 others are also accused of involvement or failing to alert the authorities in time. Schools in South Sudan have been ordered to close except for examination classes amid rising COVID-19 cases. Social gatherings, including religious ones, have been banned in new regulations to prevent the spread of the virus. Companies have been urged to allow non-essential staff to stay home, while public transport will operate at half capacity and wearing of face masks is mandatory. It is worth mentioning that the country had a partial lockdown until May, when it was lifted and experts warned it could lead to a surge. To conclude, a Ugandan activist, Stella Nyanzi, has fled to neighboring Kenya to seek asylum, citing political persecution. The activist says her children had been trailed by the police and abductions and detentions of political actors were getting closer to her. She was quoted as saying that she just left prison in February 2020 and doesn't want to go back. Her lawyer, George Lushiri, also confirmed she had fled, according to Ugandan's Daily Monitor newspaper. Ms. Nyanzi unsuccessfully vied for Kampala Woman MP in the general election in January 2021. She is a strong critic of President Yoweri Museveni's administration and was previously detained for abusing the president.
Let's now get world updates with Bokengo Kmer Worthy.
The coronavirus pandemic, which can be said to have traveled faster than politics and bureaucracy, takes Italy a year in retrospect to reflect on their grief, with more than 88,000 persons recorded to have lost their lives to the coronavirus since February 2020, after the first patient tested positive for the virus at Ecodogno Hospital. The country is the second with the highest death toll in Europe after the United Kingdom. However, research shows that the second wave of the pandemic seemed to be more severe than the first in the country. Looking into the second wave of the pandemic following the outbreak of a new coronavirus variant, the European economy is said to have dropped to a 0.7% over the last 3 months as businesses were hit by a new round of lockdown which was aimed at containing the resurgence of the coronavirus coronavirus pandemic. Although German economy, which is Europe's biggest, grew by a small 0.1%, France had a smaller than expected drop of 1.3%. An overall 2.5% was expected as an economic drop standard in the Eurozone. However, the Eurozone shrank by 6.8%. Thus, the European economy remains clouded by the challenging health situation in many countries which are undergoing an overwhelming vaccination rollout. Meanwhile, the United Nations Security Council is called by the United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights to refer North Korea to the International Criminal Council for prosecution or establish an ad hoc tribunal. According to the United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights, Michelle Bachelet, the international community needs to prioritize justice and take immediate steps to prevent further inflictions of serious human rights violation practiced in the country. It should be noted that Biden's administration already raised fresh sanctions over North Korea's nuclear program.
And in sports, Cameroon and Guinea were booted out at the semi-finals level of CHAN 2020. Cameroon suffered 4-0 defeat and paving the way for securing a spot for Morocco to face Mali during the finals in Yaoundé. Etape Content has a sports package in the French language.
Le Maroc a chicoté le Cameroun avec 4 buts contre 0 et file en finale. C'est le verdict du match comptant pour la demi-finale du CHAN 2020 qui s'est joué hier, mercredi, au stade Omnisport de Limbi. Je vous propose de suivre les réactions des Camerounais.
Vraiment, Dieu m'a été déçu pour le match hier. Même frappé, on essaie un tir au goal, on n'a pas d'avance. Les mêmes fonds de jeu, on n'a pas eu. Et vous voulez qu'on gagne au Maroc comment?
Il n'y a pas de championnat au Cameroun. On est parti ramasser les gars au quartier comme ça.
L'échec d'hier, en fait, m'a un peu touché et à mon temps j'étais réjoui parce que les gars se sont battus. Je ne savais même pas qu'ils devaient arriver aux demi-finales. Mais ils sont arrivés déjà.
Et nous les Camerounais, on savait très bien que l'équipe était solide. On a battu le tout-puissant Mazembe. Et on était sûr et certain que le Maroc, ça allait être un bon jour pour nous. Mais avec la crise anglophone, avec toutes les pratiques nocturnes des ambazoniens, moi je pense ça. Parce que moi, je n'ai pas vu les tentatives de but comme d'habitude. Les gars jouaient comme si on avait attaché les bulldozers sur les pieds.
Ce que je peux dire par rapport à ça, c'est rien que le coach essaye un peu de voir plus au niveau des finitions et il maintient la défense et le milieu de terrain, ça va aller.
La pression restait sur les poulons de Martin Tongoupili et Achouki Rido. À la 28e minute, le portier camerounais commet la faute en relâchant un coup franc de Namsui sur le défenseur central Bouftini qui ouvrait le score avec le premier but marocain. À la 40e minute du jeu, Raimi marque le deuxième but. Lequel but était construit sur un contre de El Kabi qui adressait une belle passe à destination d'Afidji. Ce dernier a donc remisé dans la surface de réparation où l'excellent Raimi fusillait à Choukerido. Le score de 2-0 resta inchangé à la fin de la première période. Après la pause, sans pitié, le Maroc avait pignon sur rue dans le jeu, malgré que les Lions à prime du Cameroun donnaient l'impression de vouloir réagir en seconde période. À la 74e minute, l'inévitable Raimi est auteur d'un doublé après avoir exploité une passe en retrait suicidaire de Itamengombe, l'on est à 3-0 en faveur du Maroc. À la 83e minute, le 4e but intervient sur le centre de Bemamor au second poteau. Le Maroc rejoint ainsi le Mali en finale de la compétition. Ce dernier s'est imposé hier en journée face à la Guinée en la battant sur penalty 5-4. À l'affiche de la finale, les Aigles affronteront donc les Lions de l'Atlas, détenteurs du titre de champion d'Afrique des Nations, dimanche prochain au stade d'Amadou Ahidjo à Yaoundé.
Thanks, Itape Konteng. We've come to the end of today's edition of the news. But before we take leave of you, it's worth noting that the head of state, His Excellency President Paul Biya, has offered financial support worth over 8 million francs CFA to those affected during or by the Ngabo incident, which happened almost same time last year on the 14th of February, when kids and pregnant women were killed in what was supposed to be an attack to target separatists. Investigations showed military involvement in the attack after several denials. This compensation or this support comes in to wipe or take away the tears from family members who have expressed grief and disappointment over how their relatives or loved ones were killed on the 14th of February in Garbu, northwest region of the country. The news was produced by Ewane Elaine Olinga, coordinated by Lasha Kingsley. My name is Genda Pelgrim Blanche King. Until we meet again tomorrow, stay tuned to my Media Prime at 7 p.m. Prime Hour will be live with Leonard. Enjoy today's edition of Prime Hour and good night.